The channel is guaranteed to produce of comic videos with voiceover scripts the best and fastest on YouTube. Everyone, please give me a like, comment, subscribe to the channel and press the bell to have the motivation to quickly release the next videos. Comics 2 TIEN revealed that the commenters or in the playlist, there are still many great long stories, brothers and sisters, please watch and support me. Comics 2 TIEN is extremely grateful to him. Let's start.
The story begins in Gotham, with a monologue from Batman talking about how the city is now a safe place, no longer broken by the sounds of crime, and children are no longer awakened by the sound of gunshots. But this is not the Gotham he dreamed of. People still live in fear, and the world is ruled by the iron fist of a man of steel. The story then goes back to Metropolis, 5 years ago, with Superman waking up in the middle of the night, listening to the heartbeats of his wife, Lois Lane, and his unborn child. Lois receives an anonymous tip on her phone about a story taking place at the docks, but Clark is worried and wants her to be careful. Ever since she got pregnant, he has been extra protective. Meanwhile, Batman was following a case that led him to Metropolis, and Superman asked if they could talk in private. He tells Bruce the good news, that Lois is pregnant, but he already guessed it. He then asked Bruce to be the godfather, but he stood still and stared at the city. Lois goes to the docks to investigate a corrupt councilman who was being bribed and tells Jimmy to have the camera ready, but the anonymous tip was a trap. The Joker lured her here and shot Jimmy in the head. He then kidnapped Lois. The next day, Superman comes to the docks and finds Jimmy's lifeless body on the ground with a Joker card next to it, but Lois was nowhere to be found. He panics and flies to Star Labs where Batman was investigating his case. He tells Bruce that Lois is missing and that he can't see her anymore. The Joker has her. Batman sends an emergency message to every member of the Justice League asking them to come to Metropolis to help search for Lois. Every member responds and comes to help, but after searching the entire city, Flash claims he didn't find anything. But he did find something and takes Batman to show him. They arrive at a secret star laboratory where they find Scarecrow dead, but he appeared to be infected with something. Meanwhile, Wonder Woman found out that the Joker hijacked a submarine from the docks and left the city. Superman immediately scans the waters and finds the submarine. He then rushes inside to search for Lois. He finds the Joker and Harley Quinn performing some kind of operation on her and asks what they are doing to her. The entire submarine was filled with a strange green gas, and before he could free her, Doomsday appeared out of nowhere. Superman reacted fast and grabbed Doomsday, taking him high directly into space. The Joker tries to escape but is captured by the Justice League. Batman arrives and interrogates him, and he admitted to putting an explosive trigger inside Lois. The submarine had a nuclear missile that was now missing, and the Joker claimed that if her heart were to stop beating, the missile would explode in Metropolis. Batman finally realized what the Joker did and told Superman that he is under the effect of kryptonite gas and whatever he is seeing, it's not real. After taking Doomsday into space, the effect of the gas started to wear off, and Clark realized what he had done. Doomsday was actually his wife Lois, and he just killed her and her unborn child. As if this wasn't enough, in the moment when her heart stopped beating, the missile exploded, causing a nuclear explosion in Metropolis that destroyed the city. Superman returned to Earth carrying Lois's lifeless body and gently put her down. Batman takes the Joker to a secure location and interrogates him, asking why he did this to Superman, but his only reply was that he got tired of losing and wanted to try something new. Meanwhile, Wonder Woman tries to comfort Superman, but he was absolutely devastated, crying and saying that he killed both of them. Diana says this wasn't his fault and that this is Joker's fault. She then takes Lois while Superman flies away. Superman flies towards the Joker while Hal Jordan tries to stop him, saying that Batman took the Joker to Gotham Prison. Hal pleaded with Superman to not do something he might regret later, and tried to stop him, but Clark quickly took off the ring from his finger, causing Hal to drop from the sky. He then used his heat vision to destroy the ring. While Batman was still talking to the Joker, Superman flew straight into the side of the building and grabbed the clown by the throat. He then used his hand to stab him through the chest, exiting on the other side and killing the Joker. Next, we see Harley Quinn trying to escape after she was arrested by the police. She manages to kill 2 police officers and steals their car, trying to go back to her old hideout that she and the Joker used to have. She puts on her suit, but is surprised by Green Arrow, who was following her. Harley throws an explosive bomb at Oliver and tries to hit him in the head with her hammer, but her weapon is just a toy and doesn't do any damage. She remembers she still has one of the guns from the police officers, but Oliver recovers and uses one of his arrows to trap her. Green Arrow Arrow puts Harley in his car and drives away, saying that even though she deserves to be punished for what she and the Joker did, he doesn't believe in executions and is afraid of what Superman might do to her. He takes her back to the Arrow cave, but Harley makes fun of his hideout, saying he could have chosen a better name. Something like The Quiver. Oliver agrees and says that it does sound better. She asks him if he ever loved someone he knew was wrong for him, someone who hurt him over and over again and those around him, but losing that person would hurt even more. That's how she felt about the Joker. She loved him so much that she could never abandon him. Green Arrow leaves her tied up inside the cave, saying that this place is safer than going outside where Superman can find her. The story then jumps to the Fortress of Solitude, where Superman was mourning his wife and unborn child, but he was listening to what the world was saying about the destruction of Metropolis. Millions of lives were lost in the explosion, and the people are wondering how they can feel safe anymore with the threat of a nuclear death hanging over them. Meanwhile, a civil war had just begun in the country Bialya, where the president was attacking his own people trying to secure his leadership. Superman had a realization and decided he was tired of all the violence and wars and wanted to do something about it. He flew directly to the president's palace, demanding to speak with him. He grabs the dictator by the neck and takes him outside in front of the people, stripping away his clothes. "You have no right to do this," said the president, but Superman replied, saying he wasn't president anymore. He then takes the dictator in front of the United Nations, where Superman gives a big speech. He reveals his true name to the world, saying that what happened yesterday in Metropolis must never happen again, calling for an immediate worldwide ceasefire, and everyone who fails to do so will be stopped by him. In the following days, Superman continued to enforce world peace, trying to prevent violence and stop as many wars as he could, but he took things too far when he interfered with the United States Army. The president organized a secret meeting to talk about Superman and find a way to stop him. They decided to send a team of mercenaries to his parents' home. The soldiers entered the home at night and made their way inside the bedroom where Jonathan and Martha were sleeping. Jonathan tried to fight back, but the mercenaries overpowered him and took both of them prisoners, setting the house on fire before leaving. When Superman finally arrived, his parents were missing, and there was only a message left behind by Mirror Master telling him to stop interfering with governments and wars and go back to punching giant space robots, or else his parents will be killed. In the Justice League Watchtower, Wonder Woman holds a meeting and tells everyone that Clark's parents were kidnapped. She asks everyone for help in finding them, and the heroes pledge their allegiance to Superman and his cause to enforce world peace. The heroes interrogate Captain Cold, who tells them that Mirror Master is hiding inside a bar called World's End, a place where villains come to drink all the time. Mirror Master was hiding inside the mirror, but Wonder Woman uses her lasso to force a confession out of him. Superman's parents were being kept in another dimension in Bolivia, and the only way to get inside was by using Mirror Master's belt. Meanwhile, Batman sneaks inside the White House to talk to the president, saying it wasn't a smart idea to kidnap Superman's parents. If the heroes find out, there is no guarantee of his safety. The president doesn't trust Superman having so much power, remarking that power corrupts people. He knows best. Eventually, Superman is able to find his parents and bring them back to the normal world, and thanks the Justice League for their help. Issue 9 continues with Wonder Woman fighting against corrupt governments, trying to prevent wars and stop the ones that have already begun. She flies head-on inside a tank, destroying it completely. That's when Ares, the god of war, appeared and asked Diana if she just headbutted a tank. Ares is curious and asks Diana if she believes in Superman's cause, to which she answers, yes. He asks if she will take Lois's place, if she will lie in bed with Superman. Diana replies that Lois was an incredible woman, and she will let Superman mourn, but she will be whatever he needs her to be. Diana realizes that Ares is scared of both of them. After all, if there are no more wars, what happens to the god of war? Ares could be the god of ponies, but the god of war didn't take the joke very well and attacked Diana, saying that maybe he should kill her right now and spare himself the trouble of doing it later. Luckily, Superman arrives and knocks Ares down, and Diana uses her sword to cut off his hand and stab the god through the abdomen, saying that gods don't die so easily and he will survive. The story continues inside the Batcave, where Dick and Damian were training, but Damian was annoyed with Dick being better and constantly taunting him. He throws one of his Eskrima sticks at him, but Superman catches it before it hits his head. Clark came to visit Batman and asked the two boys if he was home. He finds Batman working at his computer and tells him that his parents were kidnapped. Bruce is worried about the fact that Clark killed the Joker and thinks he should stop enforcing world peace. This only triggers Superman even more, and blames Bruce for letting the Joker live for so long, asking if he feels any guilt for all the people killed by the Joker. Meanwhile, near the coast of Japan, Aquaman witnesses illegal whale fishing and is furious to see so many of his beautiful animals killed so brutally. He orders his army to attack the ship and help free the whales that are still alive. The Justice League hears the distress call issued by the ship and comes immediately. They tell Aquaman to stop the attack because Superman called for a worldwide ceasefire, but the Atlanteans live in the oceans and don't answer to him. One of the soldiers overreacts and shoots Diana in the face, prompting her to hit Aquaman and start a fight. Aquaman issued a call, calling sea creatures to come help him in the fight against the Justice League. While the heroes were fighting the Atlanteans, Arthur grabs Wonder Woman by the leg and drags her into the water, trying to drown her. But luckily, Shazam jumps after them and takes Aquaman into the air. He tells Arthur to call off his army and stand down because he is outmatched. But the Atlantean replied that the sea is deep and full of secrets. The Justice League sees a giant tsunami wave coming towards them, and Hawkgirl thinks there is something else beyond the wave. Meanwhile, Superman was still talking to Batman and accused him of loving the Joker. Why else would he let him live all this time? He asks Bruce, why did he let the Joker do this to him? Why didn't he stop him so many times before when he had the chance? Clark accuses Bruce of ignoring his two sons, saying he prefers to sit in the dark in his cave instead of consoling his children. His parents were killed, but what's his excuse for not being a father? Batman lost control and punched Superman, but he only hurt his fists. That's when they noticed that the Justice League had issued a warning and that they needed help in the Pacific Ocean. Clark wants to leave and asks Bruce to come with him, but he says he is sorry and can't do that. The tsunami was more than just a giant wave. A mythical creature was hiding inside called the Kraken. Batman activated the Atlantean communication channel and warned Aquaman that Superman was coming towards them, angry and in pain. The Justice League was barely able to defend themselves against the giant creature and were dragged underwater. Superman arrives and grabs Aquaman by the throat, ordering him to call off the attack, and he agrees to release the heroes. Arthur says that he commands the seas and the oceans, and Superman can't tell him what to do, and Diana tells Clark to turn on his communicator. Arthur ordered the Atlanteans to attack the surface world, with multiple invasions happening in San Francisco, Rio de Janeiro, and even Dubai. Arthur says that this is a show of strength and asks Superman to get the hell out of his ocean, but Batman calls him an idiot for giving Superman an ultimatum. Superman gathers the entire Justice League and asks everyone to follow him. They swim towards Atlantis in the Mediterranean Sea and use their combined powers and strength to lift the city from the seafloor. Together, they manage to lift the entire city from the bottom of the sea, taking it far away from its resting place and dropping it inside the Sahara Desert, the hottest place on Earth. Batman strongly disapproved of Superman's actions, but Clark was tired of his constant objections and asked Cyborg to cut off his communications. Aquaman didn't believe Superman was capable of something like this, and in the end, he was forced to surrender. He called off the attack on the world, and Superman agreed to return Atlantis back to its place. Issue 13 begins in Australia with Flash running on the longest straight road in the world. A road this long and this straight with barely any traffic on it is like nirvana for any speedster. Flash often comes here to run and think, but today he doesn't want to think, he just wants to run. Only 2 hours ago he, together with Superman and Wonder Woman, were trying to stop a protest in Melbourne, but the people refused to leave. A young man in the crowd told the heroes they have the right to protest in their own country and then attack them. He thought he was stronger than he actually was, but Flash saw how scared he was when he realized that he didn't stand a chance against them. Clark and Diana slammed him on the ground, but the shock of the impact was so great that it broke his spine, instantly paralyzing him. Flash could have helped, but he just stood there watching in shock. Immediately after, Batman contacted Barry and told him to visit the laboratory in Canberra, where he meets Dr. Norris. She tells him that the young kid who was just paralyzed was named Galaxor, and they gave him powers at the Institute. He was a big fan of Flash, but now he is paralyzed, and Flash blames himself. He questions whether he is on the good side and doing the right things, and then continues his run on the longest straight road in the world. Issue 14 starts off with two TV reporters who are preparing to interview Dr. Boone, but something was wrong. Dr. Boone was missing, and Two-Face replaced him. He wanted to see which one of the two reporters he was going to kill and threw his coin in the air, but before it landed in his palm, Superman melted the coin using his heat vision. Two-Face was furious and needed to know if it was heads or tails. He begged Superman to tell him, but Clark just destroyed his gun and arrested him. Afterwards, Superman gave an interview saying he came to Gotham today because he found a solution to deal with the villains once and for all. Batman was watching the interview and knew exactly what Superman had in mind. Him and Nightwing fly directly to Gotham Asylum. The Justice League returned Two-Face to the asylum but said they lost faith in this facility and had other plans for all the villains locked inside. Damian sides with the Justice League because he thinks they are doing the right thing, even though his father strongly opposes Superman's actions. Wonder Woman asked Cyborg to hack the security system in the asylum and open the cell doors. The Justice League teleported the villains out of the asylum one by one to another more secure location. When Batman saw what they were doing, he electrocuted Cyborg, thanks to one of his hacks that he implanted in him the first time they met. Meanwhile, Green Arrow brings Harley Quinn to the asylum, because he didn't have any place left to put her after she burned down his arrow cave. They find out that the whole Justice League is here, and Oliver leaves Harley with one of the guards while he runs down to the cells. Harley is able to remove her handcuffs and knocks out the guard. Then she opened the doors to every cell inside the asylum, setting free all the prisoners. Among those prisoners, there is someone incredibly strong and dangerous, and he was now set free. Solomon Grundy breaks the wall to his prison, grabs Damian by the head, and drags him down. A brutal fight erupts between the heroes and the villains, while Harley watches and enjoys every minute of it. Wonder Woman stabs Grundy in the hand, demanding him to release Damian, but he refuses to let go. Superman uses his heat vision and cuts off Grundy's hand, releasing Damian in the process. He then flies straight into him, breaking through his body and exiting on the other side. Nightwing helps Damian escape from the hand that is still attached to his body while mocking him, but his brother says he had everything under control. Batman then uses powerful explosives to blow off Grundy's head, causing him to fall to the ground. The fight continues with Damian going all out on the villains, remarking that he is sick and tired of all of them, but Nightwing tells him to go easy. This angers Damian even more, who claims Nightwing is not Robin anymore, and throws one of his Eskrima sticks at him. Sadly, Nightwing was not ready for this, and it hits him right in the head, causing him to fall to the ground and hit his head on a rock. Damian panics and runs over to his brother, calling out his name, but Nightwing doesn't respond. In that moment, everyone stops fighting and Superman asks the villains to go back to their cells. Batman comes over and asks Damian what he did, telling him to get off his brother. Sadly, the fall killed Nightwing, and Batman picks him up and exits the prison, with everyone standing aside to let them pass. Issue 17 starts with Catwoman as she climbs a tall building and attempts to rob an apartment. She gently cuts the window using her sharp claws and enters the room. She opens a safe door and finds tons of cash and jewelry inside, but she quickly realizes she wasn't alone anymore. Superman was right behind her, and Catwoman asks if he came to help her carry the bag. It was kinda heavy. She jumps out the window and tries to escape, but Superman jumps right after her and catches her mid-flight. But something was wrong and he feels weak. That's because Selina was wearing a kryptonite earring which drained away his powers. She enters a sewer trying to escape, and Clark was right behind her, but he says he only wants to talk. He tells her that Nightwing died, and Batman is grieving. He needs someone to console him. She needs to go to him. Selina goes to the mansion and opens the door, but there was nobody around. The place looked abandoned. She finds Alfred half drunk on a chair, mourning Nightwing's death. He offers to make tea, but Selina refuses. Batman was inside the Batcave punching his brains out, trying to release some of the pain he felt inside. Selina asks him to stop punching and stop being Batman at least for today, and then hugs him. Issue 18 continues in Gotham City with the two of them following the bat signal, but this time, it wasn't Commissioner Gordon. The President of the United States wanted to talk to Batman and organized this meeting. He tells Batman he's seen the footage from Arkham Asylum and is sorry for his loss, but they need to do something about Superman. After him and his friends took all of the inmates out of Arkham and transported them to places unknown, the Justice League began blundering into every major conflict on the planet. They forcibly sat the leaders of Palestine and Israel down in a room and gave them 3 hours to find a peace plan, or Superman would find one for them. Selina asks the president why stopping bloodshed is a bad thing, and he replies that it's not. He is afraid that if Superman keeps this up, he will eventually take over the entire world, and there will be nobody left to stop him. Batman anticipated this meeting and came prepared. He gives the president a file with names of people with special powers. He wants to put together a team that can rival the Justice League. The list includes names like Black Canary, Black Lightning, Atom Man, Green Arrow, and even Aquaman. Batman gathers everyone in Gotham City, and they all agree that the Justice League and Superman have taken things too far, and something needed to be done. Issue 19 begins with Billy Batson interviewing normal people and asking how they feel about the Justice League enforcing world peace. Many people believe this is a good thing, but others believe that too much power in the hands of a few is dangerous. People are also afraid of the heroes. Something happened yesterday. Someone attacked the heroes and Green Lantern was badly injured. Cyborg finds him facing down in the rubble, but his attacker was nowhere to be seen. He got away. But Cyborg felt something hiding in the smoke. The attacker was still here and he attacked him. Black Adam broke Cyborg's hand and then knocked him down. He said they shouldn't have interfered with his retribution, but Wonder Woman surprised him from behind and managed to trap him down together with Superman. He claimed that someone fired a shell into his country, killing his own people, and as their leader, it's his responsibility to punish the attackers. Black Adam refused to calm down, and Wonder Woman said that she would take his powers away. Shazam was worried that doing so might kill him since Black Adam is very old, and his human form might not survive the process. Diana used the lasso of truth on him and forced him to tell them his magic word, causing Black Adam to revert back to his human form, an old man with a shriveled body. Luckily, he survived the process, but Shazam began to question the actions of the Justice League and doubted if they were actually doing the right things or not. It's been 1 month since the Joker detonated a nuclear bomb and destroyed Metropolis, and nobody has set foot in the city ever since, until now. But someone was still alive inside amongst the rubble. A signal was being broadcasted with 2 impossible words: "I'm alive." Cyborg tells Superman about the signal, and he thinks it's a good idea to investigate, but Wonder Woman says it's a bad idea because it might be a trap to lure him there. Clark, Hal Jordan, and Diana fly down to the city and scan the rubble searching for the source of the signal. They find something hidden inside a glass building, a big metal safe that was still intact even after a devastating explosion. The heroes are cautious, and Superman grabs the door and opens it, revealing something hidden inside. Clark is shocked to find Lex Luthor still alive, living inside this metal bunker. Lex claimed he is still alive thanks to a well-executed contingency plan, and Clark gives him a big hug. After going back to the watchtower, he explains what happened. Lex hired a speedster that had only one job: to take him to safety in case something bad happens. When the bomb exploded, she took him to the bunker and then went back outside to try and save people, but she wasn't fast enough. After what just happened, Lex claims he wants to help humanity and make the world a better place. He asks to join the Justice League, saying that he already knows everyone's secret identity and proves it by calling everyone by their first name. Issue 21 starts off in a foreign country, with Hawkgirl kidnapping a dictator and taking him high into the air, but she wasn't alone. Batman and his new team were watching her. Black lightning electrocutes Hawkgirl, causing her to fall from the air, and the Huntress gives her a sedative, putting her to sleep before they kidnap her. Meanwhile, in another part of the world, another country was ravaged by war, and its people are forced to live in refugee camps. The soldiers that are supposed to keep the people safe were taking advantage of them, and Wonder Woman decided to step in. She takes their general and humiliates him in front of the other soldiers, telling the women that they don't need to be afraid anymore, and vows to protect them. She kills the general and orders his men to drop their weapons on the ground. She then asks the women to pick them up and defend themselves against the abusive men. She needs to leave but promise to return and keep them safe. But until then, what they decide to do with the men is up to them. Diana returns to the Watchtower and is informed by the other heroes that Hawkgirl was kidnapped. They know Atom Man, Black Lightning, and the Huntress were involved, but Lex Luthor says it must have been Batman. Batman took Hawkgirl to a secret hideout and said he needs to keep her there for 1 week, but he isn't worried about the Justice League because they don't even know she is missing. Up in the Watchtower, an imposter disguised as Hawkgirl appears and claims she wasn't kidnapped, and that Batman only wanted to send a message. The heroes were curious as to why Batman let Hawkgirl go. It would have been easier to pick them one by one. Flash wants to slow down and talk about what they are doing. He feels bad about hurting the people they are trying to protect, including the kid from Australia who is now paralyzed. Shazam also reminds Wonder Woman that they almost killed Black Adam last week, but she defended her actions, saying he deserved it after butchering a village. Damian was watching the Justice League fight each other and claims this is exactly what Batman wants. That's why he let Hawkgirl go, to be his weapon and start dividing the League from inside. Lex Luthor agrees, but he offers a solution. He wants the Justice League to hold a press conference and talk to the world, reassuring the people that they only want to protect them. Meanwhile, on the planet Apocalypse, the giant ball of hell and fire, home to Darkseid and his armies, Kalibak demands an audience with his father. He tells his father that he has news from Earth. The Kryptonian called for an end to fighting and is dismantling armies in favor of peace. He wants permission from his father to invade Earth and kill Superman, believing he is weaker now because of this. Darkseid grants him permission to invade Earth and asks Kalibak to leave him alone. He wants to continue torturing Black Racer. Lex Luthor introduces Superman to the people in front of the Eiffel Tower and invites him to give a speech. Clark apologizes for not doing this sooner and says he only wants what's best for the people. He thinks that stopping wars and preventing violence, even by force, is necessary. But before he could finish his speech, a giant boom tube opened and thousands of parademons invaded the planet. Kalibak struck Superman with a powerful energy blast using his weapon, but he noticed something was different about him. Kalibak was frightened just by looking at him. He had never seen Superman so angry and asks what's wrong with him. Superman refused to answer and just attacked him, punching him so hard that it sent him flying high into the air. He followed him and punched him again, but this time sending him crashing down. The Justice League watched in horror as tens of boom tubes opened all over the world and thousands more parademons invaded the planet. Superman crashed Kalibak into the ground and asks him to call off the attack, but he refused to do it, claiming that nothing changed and Superman was still the same person. Even with all of his power, he's still unable to do what's necessary in order to win and crush his enemies. Kalibak opened another boom tube, and many more parademons came, surrounding Superman from every direction. He taunted Superman, calling him weak and unable to protect his people, while his troops invade the planet. Eventually, Superman was pushed beyond his breaking point and lost control. He powered up to unimaginable levels and used his heat vision to destroy every demon that was on top of him. The fighting continued in every major city around the world, and the Justice League was doing their best to fight the hordes of parademons, but it just wasn't enough, and Superman had to do something. He viciously attacked Kalibak, shocking the mighty god who didn't believe Superman was capable of such cruelty. He eventually surrenders, but the Man of Steel refused to stop his attacks, claiming that Daddy wasn't here to save his son. Clark was tired of being merciful and letting his enemies survive every time. Even though Kalibak claimed he was an immortal god, Superman didn't care and drove his head through the ground, killing the son of Darkseid. After that, Superman talks to Flash and tells him what Kalibak told him earlier, that he cares more about the lives of his enemies than the lives of people getting hurt. Superman wants to stop holding back and asks Flash to think of another way to stop the invasion, but he can't. For the first time in his life, Superman decides to go all out and flies directly into space. He then powers up at unimaginable speed, burning through the atmosphere, killing as many parademons as he could. The rest of the heroes were barely hanging on and were getting outnumbered, but Superman did the impossible. He turned the war around and managed to kill all of the demons in seconds. The people started chanting his name, and Lex Luthor grabs his hand, congratulating the Man of Steel for stopping the invasion and saving the world. Everyone around the world celebrates the victory, and Wonder Woman praises Superman for saving so many lives, but Batman thinks the cost of victory was too great. Clark thinks the invasion was too much to handle even for the Justice League, and they can't be in every place at once, they need more allies. Lex Luthor says he has a solution, and soon they will get the help they need. Batman organizes a secret meeting with his new team, condemning Superman's actions, but not everyone agrees with him. The Huntress doesn't understand why Batman doesn't see Superman as the savior, even after he stopped the invasion and saved so many lives. She wants to leave, but Batman claims that Superman and Lex Luthor are working on something big. They want to build a personal army. He can't reveal the source of his intel, but to prove his honesty, he removes the mask, revealing his secret identity to everyone. Meanwhile, a cult that worships Superman has been growing ever since Superman started his crusade, and now they took over Crime Alley, trying to police the streets of Gotham. This is the Resistance's first official mission, and everyone is doing their best to prove their worth, easily dealing with the cult members one by one. But before the fight could end, the Justice League arrives and tells them to stop fighting and go home. Wonder Woman tells Green Arrow to leave because they are not needed here, and Selina convinced Batman to go. Issue 26 begins in the Watchtower with Superman asking Flash if he knows how to play chess. Barry only played a couple of times when he was a kid, but he is able to learn the game in just a few seconds. The two of them start playing, and Clark asks Barry how many lives are ruined by gun death. Barry replies that cigarettes kill more people than guns, and people continue smoking even if they know it's bad for them. He asks Clark, what's next? Should they imprison anyone who speeds in a car? Should they kill anyone who doesn't recycle? Where does it stop? Checkmate, checkmate, checkmate. In the Fortress of Solitude, Superman's mother tells Lex a story about Clark when he was just a little boy. One day he lost his favorite blanket and couldn't find it anywhere. He loved that blanket very much, but when he couldn't find it, he lost control and destroyed their tractor. The Kents loved their son very much, but they could see that something was wrong with him, and he needs help. Lex feels guilty for being the only survivor after Metropolis was destroyed and wants to believe in Superman's cause. That's why he created a special pill that gives normal people superpowers. Clark's parents ask him to be careful, fearing that one day the world will need to be saved from their son. Lex Luthor organized a meeting, telling everyone that he and Superman have created a special pill, one that gives normal people powers. The plan is to make a list of candidates and make them stronger to help protect the world from future attacks. But Hawkgirl wonders if this is a good idea. After the meeting ended, Damian snuck inside and stole one of the pills for himself. He then used the teleporter to take him inside the Batcave, where he is greeted by Alfred. Alfred asks if he got his letter, and Damian says yes, but he didn't get the chance to reply yet. Batman arrives and asks his son what he is doing here, but Damian wanted to leave. Alfred convinced Bruce to talk to his son, but the two of them disagree about Superman and begin to fight. During the argument, Damian hit Alfred by mistake, sending him crashing directly into the big screens. When Batman wanted to grab him, he did the same thing to him, causing a giant coin in the cave to fall and almost crush both of them. Luckily, Hawkgirl arrived and caught the coin before it hurt anyone. Damian ingested the super pill, but he didn't realize just how strong it actually made him. He apologized to Alfred, but found it suspicious that Hawkgirl knew where the Batcave was. He suspected she might be an imposter and threw an incendiary grenade on the ground. This prompted the imposter to reveal himself. Martian Manhunter panicked at the sight of fire and reverted back to his true form. Damian used this opportunity to leave the Batcave and retreated back to the Watchtower. He tells everyone about Hawkgirl and how Batman used Martian Manhunter to spy on them and report back. The Justice League believes that Batman took things too far, but Damian says that's exactly what his father does, and Superman agrees. Batman was always the one in command, pulling all the strings and creating contingency plans for everyone. It's time for them to fight back. Superman asks Cyborg to open the communications, and he prepares to reveal to everyone Batman's secret identity. But before he could say the name, Batman activated Protocol Icarus, a computer virus that took the Watchtower offline. Power, communications, and even life support were stopped, and the tower began losing oxygen fast. Before doing anything else, Superman wanted to finish his message, but the communications were out. Eventually, Cyborg sends out a message to the world by email, claiming that Batman's real name was Bruce Wayne. Now that the message was sent and everyone knew the truth, Superman flew the Watchtower back to Earth safely. Alfred informs Batman that the manor was surrounded by newscopters, and everyone wanted to interview him. Issue 29 begins with the Justice League heading towards the Batcave after arranging a meeting with Batman, where he agreed to release Hawkgirl back to them. Batman blames the League for revealing his secret identity to the world, but Wonder Woman says he should just buy a new life if he wants. He released Hawkgirl several minutes earlier, and she flew directly to the Watchtower, where Lex Luthor had to make sure it wasn't Martian Manhunter in disguise again. Wonder Woman gives Batman one last warning, telling him to stop fighting the Justice League, but he ignores them and just flies away. The League quickly realized that it wasn't actually Batman, but Manhunter disguised as him. They chase him in the sky before he completely disappears into the clouds, shifting his form once again. Green Lantern tried to reveal his location, but Manhunter punched him in the face, leaving him and Superman alone to talk. John shows Superman a vision of when his home planet was invaded by a race much stronger than them. He wants Superman to know how it feels to be ruled by someone so much stronger than you and experience how it feels to be helpless. Before he could finish, Wonder Woman grabbed John by the head, but he changed his form again and entered her body. Manhunter took control of her body and wanted to cut off the oxygen to her brain, but Diana asked Superman to use his heat vision on her and burn her skin. Superman powered up and hit Wonder Woman at full force, destroying the Martian Manhunter completely, while Batman watched in horror from a distance. Issue 30 begins 6 years ago with a young boy who was riding his bike down the hill. The boy was careless and managed to hit a big rock, throwing his body several feet into the air and landing on his face. Superman saw what happened and flew down to make sure the boy was okay. He takes a look at the bike and tries to fix the wheel, but he only made things worse. He offers to give the young boy a lift home, and they fly together over Metropolis, with Superman carrying the bike as well. After arriving home, the boy asks Superman if he wants a sandwich, but Clark hears something and says he needs to leave immediately. Later, Superman meets with Lois Lane, who tells him that she uncovered a plot to create a massive sinkhole directly beneath Wall Street and asks what interesting thing happened to him today. He casually replies, "A boy fell off his bike." The young boy told his mother about Superman, but she didn't believe him. However, the next day, Superman returned to his home and brought a brand new tire for his bike and offered to help him fix it. The story now jumps to the present, 6 years later, with the same boy watching Superman on TV, remarking that he misses the old days before he was angry all the time. Issue 31 starts with the president's phone ringing in the middle of the night. Only 3 people know this number, and Batman was the 4th. He asks the president to create a big distraction, one that is guaranteed to get Superman's attention. Batman organized a meeting to discuss something very important. He tells everyone that Martian Manhunter is dead, and Superman burned him alive. Last night he received an encrypted message which said that the Justice League has created superhuman technology, one that works and is very devastating. Batman wants to steal this technology from the League and believes this might be Earth's only hope in the future. He teleported Atom Man, Catwoman, Green Arrow, and Black Canary to the North Pole, next to Superman's Fortress of Solitude, where they were keeping this technology. Meanwhile, the United States Navy deployed a fleet of ships towards North Korea in a sign of provocation, even though Superman ordered a global ceasefire. Superman flew directly to the White House and confronted the president, demanding an explanation for the aggression. Meanwhile, Selina opened the vault door that was guarding the fortress, and Atom Man used his incredible strength to open the giant door. Immediately after the door was opened, Superman was alerted that someone had entered his fortress and knew this was only a distraction. Batman was shocked to find his parents hiding inside and wanted to abort the mission immediately, but it was too late. Superman was already there. He grabbed Atom Man by the throat and looked incredibly angry and pissed off. His parents begged their son to let him go, and Atom Man claimed he gave Superman a chance to do the right thing, and then punched him with incredible force. The force of the hit was so great that the cave started to collapse, separating Batman from Green Arrow. The block of ice was too big, and there was nothing they could have done. Batman tells Oliver that he placed a tracker on him, and that they will come back for him after Superman is gone. Outside, Atom Man began fighting with the Man of Steel, and initially gained the upper hand. He tells him that every time 2 people with great power face each other, they end up punching each other in the face. They do it because it feels good. Atom Man bested Superman and grabbed his head, preparing to deliver the final blow, but was surprised from behind by Wonder Woman, who slashed his throat with her sword. This caused a crack in his skin, and he claimed he holds the power of 10 nuclear bombs inside of him, but now he can't contain that much energy anymore. He grabs Superman and flies towards the sky, aiming to kill Superman when his body eventually explodes. Wonder Woman flew after them, but she wasn't fast enough, and eventually Atom Man's body exploded, releasing an immense amount of energy that caught Diana in the blast radius. Moments later, Superman recovered. Even though badly injured, he was still alive, and he saw Wonder Woman falling from the sky. She crashed back on Earth, creating a huge crater, and she looked badly injured, barely alive. Flash arrives and asks what happened. Superman tells him that Batman and Atom Man tried to kill him and asks him to take Wonder Woman away while he returns back to the fortress to save his parents. He finds Green Arrow together with his parents and tells his mother that the government tried to kill him. Oliver sees the super pill on the table and tries to take one, but Clark was fast and destroyed them. He shoots an arrow towards him, but it bounced right off and hit Jonathan Kent instead. As if Superman wasn't pissed off already, this made him lose his temper, and he slapped Green Arrow. Oliver recovered and he tried to shoot a second time, but Clark moved, and the arrow passed right by him, going off into the distance. Sadly for him, Superman retaliated by punching him mercilessly while his parents screamed in horror, asking their son to spare his life. Before getting killed, he managed to attach the locator and 1 super pill to the arrow, and Batman was able to recover them, giving them a fighting chance against the Justice League and against Superman. Clark continued to punch Oliver until he was breathless, but his mother ingested one of the pills and stopped him. Clark panicked when he saw that his mother took one of the pills, and there was another one missing. Realizing that Oliver managed to sneak one out right in front of him, Batman returns to the hideout with the super pill and asks everyone to find a safe place to hide for the next few days because Superman will be looking for them. He tells Selina that he needs to go to the Batcave and analyze the pill so they can mass produce it, but he refused to let her come with him, saying that it's too dangerous and Superman will be looking for him there. He gives Catwoman a big kiss, and then puts her to sleep using a special gas, leaving her with the Huntress while he enters the teleporter on his way to the Batcave. Clark knew that Batman had the super pill and wanted to leave the fortress to go after him, but his father was badly injured and asked what's wrong with him. He was willing to abandon his father to go after Batman. Jor-El appeared and told his son that there is always another way of solving problems. There was no need to kill, but Superman defended his action, claiming that Batman tried to kill him, and Green Arrow even hurt his father. Clark leaves the fortress while his parents hug each other, fearing what their son might do next. Issue 35 continues the story with Batman analyzing the super pill, trying to synthesize it and create more. He receives a message on his monitor warning him that Superman is coming, urging him to leave, but Batman says it's too late. He's already there. Superman claimed he took away all of the madmen of Gotham, but he left the original. Bruce calls Clark delusional, but this only triggers him and grabs Bruce by the throat, telling him to watch his tone when he talks to him. Batman was not afraid of him, saying that if he wanted to kill him, he would have done it from space, using his heat vision. He asks Clark if the blood on his hands belongs to Green Arrow, saying that there is no way to justify killing him. Maybe deep down, Superman came here hoping that Batman would find a way to stop him, his twisted way of being punished for his actions. But Clark was sick of hearing him talk and throws Batman against the rocks in the cave. As the pill was being analyzed in the background, Batman tries to keep Superman distracted and shows him pictures of his wife, Lois Lane, trying to trigger some sort of emotions from the Man of Steel. He used a sonic attack to trigger the bats in the cave to attack Superman, but he used his heat vision to burn all of them. Analyzing was almost complete, and Batman tried to take the pill and ingest it, but Clark stopped him right before. He said that Batman was correct. He wasn't there to kill him, but instead lifted his body over his head and then dropped him against his knee, breaking his spine in the process. Batman screamed in horror at the sound of his spine cracking against Superman's knee. Clark felt sorry, but Bruce was just too dangerous, and he had to incapacitate him. But Bruce refused to give up and still tried to get up, even though 2 of his lumbar vertebrae were cracked. Clark was surprised that Bruce was still conscious and put his leg on top of him, pushing down even further. That's when Batman said he wasn't trying to fight back, but was actually trying to distract him long enough for the pill to finish analyzing. Clark was furious that he was tricked once again and started torturing him, asking what he did with the pill. Bruce called Clark just another thug who uses violence to justify the means, saying that he wasn't a hero anymore. While they were talking, Alfred ingested the super pill and called Clark by his full name. When he turned around, Alfred headbutted him, breaking his nose. The hit was so powerful that he temporarily knocked out Superman, causing him to fall backward on the ground. Alfred then proceeded to kick him in the face and then delivered a series of strong punches right to his nose, asking the Man of Steel to stop hurting his family and leave them alone. When he was done, he wiped the blood from his hands using a tissue and then picked up Master Bruce and carried him away. Superman was left injured and covered in his own blood, while Batman and Alfred used the teleporter to escape the Batcave. One day later, the Justice League gave a big speech in front of the entire world at the United Nations, calling Batman a terrorist and claiming he stole a superweapon that he intends to use, but vows that him and the Justice League are going to keep the world safe from now on.